The current fitness industry is full of amazing people and great information that have helped millions, right? But it's only one singular approach when it comes to fully optimizing your health and getting into the best shape of your life. That information allowed me to build my journey's foundation, but after 5 years, I got stuck and I had to build my own system that wasn't built around these mass market standards, but a system that was built for a life like mine. So this video is a full breakdown of exactly how I did this by creating the system called the metabolic asset model, which allowed me, as well as hundreds of other men, to create the body that matches the standard they've built everywhere else in their life, as well as the internal health systems that prove health decline was never inevitable with age. Enjoy. My name is Ben Kump. I'm the owner of Legacy Fitness Coaching, and today I'm going to be taking you through my entire health and fitness journey, how I've gotten to where I am today and the current health status that I have at 21 years old, and taking you back all the way from the beginning of me at 14 years old, my early teen years. But again, to start, this is the story of how the fitness industry only told me half of the truth to achieving top 1% health and longevity. And of course, how I rebuilt the system with the metabolic asset model, how I turned my health into my largest asset for producing success in every area of my life. But it wasn't obviously just me and my life that changed, right? I've got George, Michael, Kyle, Juan, Evan, Matt here as just another few examples of how the metabolic asset model has completely transformed my life as well as other men, and how we've all allowed our health to be the main lever for success. But just to go through a couple of these transformations, I'll start here on the left with George, right? He's the owner of 8 businesses and a Vistage chair member out in Austin, Texas. And if you've never heard of Vistage before, it's the world's largest business coaching and consulting company, right? So he's a chair member for Vistage, great entrepreneur. And it only took George 3 months to go from 18% body fat down to about 14% body fat, right? Fixing his sleep struggles, eliminating his decision fatigue that he felt every single morning before work, and transforming the way he takes care of his health now at 58 years old. In the middle here, we've got Michael, who is the owner of a neurodiagnostics company, an adult healthcare practitioner, and a Purdue University professor. Yes, he's doing all 3 of those currently at the age of 73 years old. Absolutely incredible. He tells me and shows me that age is truly just a number, right? But in just over a year with Mike, he lost 24 pounds of fat, reversed his metabolic age down to 40 years old, and got his life back through his health improvements, right? During COVID, obviously being an adult practitioner, being in the healthcare world, he went through and saw a lot of difficult things during COVID. And that took a hit on him mentally and, of course, hit him physically. And so we were able to help him get back on his feet, put the wind back in his sails, and get him back into absolutely incredible shape. Now, again, 73 years old, 8% body fat, 180 pounds at 6 foot. And then another example here on the right, Kyle, founder of Programmed Living Home Automation based out in Scottsdale, Arizona. And he was struggling a lot with just finding time to focus on his health while running his business, right? Poor nutrition, eating out of convenience, barely got any sleep at night, and just had constant low back pain. But after our work, in about 4 months, Kyle was able to lose 26 pounds of excess body fat, boost his energy levels, of course, eliminate that back pain for good, and overall perform at a higher level at 65 years old. And again, these are just a couple examples. I didn't even tell you about Juan, Evan, or Matt's experiences and transformations. And then again, these are just 6 and only a few of all of the transformations and all of the benefits that have happened coming out of the metabolic asset model and working with me in Legacy Fitness Coaching. So as you can tell, right, it's not just getting a great physique here. All of these men have completely changed their lives through their health. And in return, of course, the great body, the great physique comes along for the way. But I want to take you through my personal story. So again, I'm going to start at 14 years old. And at 14 years old, I tried out for the high school soccer team, right? An athlete growing up, soccer is even still my favorite sport in the world. And so at 14, tried out for the high school soccer team, right? My dream was to play professional soccer. And I knew the road to achieve that goal was to first make the high school team, right? Then play college ball, then make my way to the highest stage. So of course I practiced every day after school and did everything in my power in my early teen years to perfect my craft in this sport that I loved. But then at 14 years old, trials for the high school team came and I didn't make the varsity team, right? And yes, I did make the JV team. This is actually a photo of me about to check in for my first junior varsity game for the last 20 minutes of the game. So these were pity minutes, man. This is just, I was crushed. I hated this. I wanted to be on the varsity team. I wasn't even starting for JV. And this was just a situation that I did not want to be in. It absolutely crushed me, right? Because I knew I had the skill, but I wasn't able to show it when that time came simply because I was too small. I was too unconfident with myself. I remember trying out and all of these older kids, they're only 2, 3 years older than me, but they were just so much bigger, so much more confident. And I just constantly compared myself and I wasn't able to perform how I wanted to. I didn't make the varsity team. I was angry, sad, and confused, of course. But after this day, I made a promise to myself, right, that I would never let anything in my control, which in this case was my health, was my physique, and my confidence level. I would never let anything in my control be the reason that I don't achieve the success that I desired. And so I had to reinvent my identity. I had to become a different person if I wanted to see more success in my life. And so from that time, I dialed everything in, right? Gym every day after school, along with, of course, my soccer training and studying nutrition and workout information on social media to learn, to expand my knowledge base, and of course, do the work that nobody else around me was doing. And of course, day by day, game after game, I was getting bigger. I was getting stronger, building elite confidence in myself. And that next year, my sophomore year in high school, I made that varsity team. The next year after that, junior year, I scored the most goals that I ever had in a single season. And then the year after that, my senior year, I was given the captain armband. Right. So I literally went from practically zero, not even making the varsity team, not even playing JV basically, to then being the leader of my high school team, right? And it felt incredible. I saw so much success simply by working on myself for the last 3 years, leading up to this point that I knew was crucial along my journey. And yeah, senior year, of course, it was one of the best years of my life, playing with all my friends, and of course, being a leader for my team, right? And so obsessing over being a better soccer player by working on my body showed me so much success. And this was truly when I fell in love with health and fitness. And this led to the next level, man, right? I moved on to play the NCAA D2 level, playing college ball at the highest stage I played at so far. And maybe you're thinking, oh, D2, right? That's pretty good, but it's not D1. I don't see it like that. It is technically D2, but we play D1 colleges all the time and we compete. We've beat a couple, right? And so, yes, it is D2, but pretty high level, and I'm definitely proud of it, right? But when I got into this D2 level, my formula was simple: train harder than everybody else, fuel my body with clean foods as possible, and do everything in my power to be simply the best player that I could be, right? And I was in the best shape of my life at this moment, by far, right? 19, 18 years old, elite confidence, just feeling on cloud nine right now, after making it to this level, right? And this formula was working well for me, right? I felt like I had it all figured out. And then during the same time, I actually launched my first business. And so this meant, right, I was doing academics. I was now a college student, freshman in college. Athletics, I was now playing soccer in college, right? Entrepreneurship as well, building my own business. And of course, on top of all of that, trying to keep up with my personal health journey, right? And when I became an entrepreneur and started my business, I had zero doubts of failing or embarrassing myself or not making it work, simply because, again, of just the journey that I had gone through the past 3 or 4 years leading up to this moment. I had so much momentum, so much confidence in myself. I knew that the next endeavor, I was going to be successful because I had been proven that through all of this work, through all of these years. And so, again, that's what it's saying here. The mindset that I created from being an athlete and seeing success with my health, it had given me so much confidence, determination, and respect for myself. I knew I was going to be successful, no doubts in my mind, and I was completely right. Within my first year of being an entrepreneur and launching my fitness info product business, I saw success, and I knew this was the path that I wanted to pursue. And by this time, it was the end of my sophomore year in university, right? So going into my junior year, and I'd come to the reality at this point that professional soccer, it wasn't going to be in my path anymore after college, right? And so I knew that I would have 2 more years to play college ball, continue to play the sport that I loved at a great level. But then after that, I knew I would go all in on business, and I was happy with that. But this high, all of this momentum that I just talked about, right? From not even making varsity to then being the captain senior year, to then going to play at D2, which no one else on my high school soccer team did. I felt incredible, but that high end momentum in my life, it didn't even last more than 12 months, right? With soccer practices and games 6 days a week, classes 4 days a week, homework, running my business, and staying on top of my own health journey, right? Doing everything that I absolutely love to do, I was just under so much constant stress and pressure, and I could feel my body starting to break down a bit, right? My energy took a massive dip. I couldn't focus in my classes or for my business. And, I could feel myself just getting tired easier at practices. So physically and mentally, I could just kind of feel this decline, sort of, right? And it was hard to explain and hard to really validate. I just didn't know really what was going on. But during that time, I took a picture, and this is what it was. And you may be thinking, that's not even out of shape. For me, it was. Again, I've always been this skinny, scrawny, so lean kid. And then I grew some muscle mass, but I still stayed really lean. And so this was really a point where I was my heaviest, I was my fattest. And again, I know I'm not necessarily fat here, but again, this was out of shape for me. It's all relative from person to person. And here, I just didn't feel like myself. And almost everything in my life hit a sudden plateau. With soccer, again, like I said, I knew that after college, it wouldn't move further than that. With my business, it started to slow down after the first year. With my health progress physically and internally, I was feeling horrible, right? And my physique stopped progressing. And so this just didn't look or feel like my best version at all, right? And I still remember how I felt. I still remember what I looked like when I looked in the mirror. I didn't even recognize myself. And this was around 19 years old, a little bit later on in that year of my life. But I knew something needed to change, right? So I thought the fix was to just work even harder, right? Thinking, okay, if I'm not getting the progress and the results that I want, I need to take it up a notch. I need to work harder. So I was running on the only day that I didn't have soccer practice or games, and I was lifting 7 days a week every day to try and work myself out of this plateau. But it only made everything worse, of course. So realizing the truth, right? I'd gotten to a point where I genuinely had to ask myself, why does it feel like everything is starting to just fall apart, right? And it didn't, of course, take long to come up with the answer. I was simply overworking myself. 4 hours of class, 4 days a week, homework almost every single day, practice 4 days a week, 2 games per week, lifting 7 days a week, client calls, building client programs, all of this stress and stimulus with not enough time to allow my body to recover and adapt. It was slowly just destroying me. Again, I could feel that decline inside. So my poor focus on recovery, right? My nutrition only being focused on improving my physique and not necessarily my performance. I thought I was doing everything right, with my health, what I was supposed to be doing, working hard in the gym and eating good foods, right? But I was only really doing everything I was told to be right. The fitness industry, right, was only telling me half of the truth. Everyone was talking about eating lots of protein for muscle growth, of course, pushing for failure in the gym, taking creatine and other supplements to gain an edge on everybody else, right? I was literally living my life like I was a bodybuilder. Nobody was telling me about cortisol. Nobody was telling me about carbohydrates for cognitive performance, sleep quality versus just quantity, training and protecting my central nervous system, or metabolic optimization, all of these different things, right? I realized I was only taught how to build simply a great body, not how to create high performance and longevity for the years into the future. The fitness industry only gave me half of the formula, and so I had to find the other half myself. And of course, this is when everything changed for me. So creating the metabolic asset model, I got to work, right? I was learning and researching about deep sleep, REM sleep, overall recovery, what proper recovery looks and feels like, understanding proper cortisol rhythms and the importance of hormonal regulation, intentionally tracking my daily inputs and analyzing my own health metrics, seeing what's working and what doesn't actually work, setting simple non-negotiables each day for my health while of course still growing my business, and reconstructing my entire viewpoint around health and fitness and the whole industry itself, right? And of course, through trial and error, intense research, and testing my own theories, striving to build the best system to fully optimize my health for this all-around success that I wanted, not just the physique, but feeling in the best shape of my life, I actually found it. So becoming the best version of myself, man, building my best version, right? The most confident, disciplined, hardworking, and success-driven version of myself, being consistent and receiving consistent results rather than just more burnout, overworking myself, not understanding what the hell is going on, why all of this time commitment that I'm putting in the gym and in the kitchen for my nutrition is not giving me the results that I expect. And of course, integrating my health improvement with the growth of my business, not just focusing on one or the other. I wanted both. I wanted to be a great entrepreneur. I wanted to look and feel the best I ever have. I wanted to do good in athletics for the couple years that I had left. I wanted to do good in my classes, be able to focus, right? And this was just all part of it. And I started to get into that best version of myself, looking great, feeling the best I ever have, and becoming successful in the entrepreneur space. And so my lifestyle now, right? First off, with personal structure, which is so important, creating a structure and a framework that was actually built for my chaotic, busy life, right? With all of those responsibilities that I had in this time period, by now 20 years old, I had to have something that actually was tailored to that lifestyle, right? And something now that I live by religiously, seeing predictable results as long as I continue to follow this system. Of course, high performance all around, consistent high energy, high testosterone and libido. My hormones are in check, clear focus, better mood, and overall higher output every single day. And then, of course, matching my success. So creating the health and body that matches my success rather than it being a liability to the growth of my professional and personal life. And just to end this slide here, right? Without a system, of course, there was no success, right? From being an athlete to working on my physique to be a better athlete, to then being an entrepreneur, and then working on my health to be a better entrepreneur, right? My health and my physique and how I take care of myself always being the main backbone and the main lever behind all the success in my life. And so I have an opportunity for you, of course, right? The truth is you don't need more discipline or motivation, right? You're a business owner yourself. That alone takes so much discipline, sacrifice, and self-determination, right? And so if that was the case, if you needed more discipline and motivation, you wouldn't even be watching this video, right? This is not for you. But deep down, you know that there's another level you can take your health that allows you to avoid the burnout and decline overall. Right? So what if I told you, right, that it's not about making any sort of drastic changes to what you're already doing for your health, right? You already have such a great foundation and you've probably already seen some amazing results with your physique, right? But it's simply about making the right specific strategic adjustments to produce those next level results and true longevity with your health. So exactly who the metabolic asset model is for, right? Because this isn't for everybody. The first piece to this is longevity. This is for the guy who knows that longevity is the true end goal at the end of the day, right? Fabricating a system that ensures that when you're 60, 65, 70 plus years old, you're still performing like you're 40. Or if you're 40 right now, you're performing like you're 20. Right? It doesn't matter in chronological age if you take the proper care of your health. And that's the first piece and the most important piece of this longevity. The next piece, right, is congruency. So your presence speaks before you do, right? It's not just about your appearance. It's about the way your body reflects your discipline and your standards. Your body should match all of that success. Data over guesswork, right? The guy who wants to know, the guy who knows that everything you do thrives on data and tracking progression, all of your P&L statements, looking at quarterly reviews. You understand how important data is, right? But the same needs to go for your health. You're missing these leaks that are costing more output. And then lastly here, just overall reclaiming your edge, right? This is for the guy who remembers what it felt like to be that sharp, fast, and dangerous version of yourself and refuses to believe that that version of you is gone, right? It's not gone. It's just a bit buried right now. We don't chase the man that you were at 32 or 10 years ago. We rebuild him with better data and structure than even when you had back then. This isn't for you. Like I said, this is not for everybody, right? This isn't for you if you're a quick fix seeker. This is not for the guy looking for a nice 12-week shred program before a beach trip or before a wedding or something, right? We're not building a temporary result here. We're building the next 3 decades ahead. Of course, excuse maker, right? This is not for the guy who already decided he doesn't have time for this, right? You don't need more time. You need a system that works inside the chaotic, busy lifestyle that you already have. And I hate when people say, time right now is not the best time to start something like this, right? When is the best time? When does life really start to slow down? Even when something in work, for example, starts to slow down, something in life always shows up, some unexpected event. And so the best time to start is as soon as possible, when you have the most time ahead of you to take advantage of. The third piece to this is non-committal, right? This is not for the guy still thinking about it, kind of on the fence 6 months from now. Every 6 months, you should look and feel and be a completely different person, right? You should be leveling up every 6 months. And so, of course, if you're still thinking about it on the fence, if you're not ready to actually change your inputs, no program, mine or anybody else's, is going to change your output, right? And then, of course, wants it done for you. This is not for the guy who is looking for some magic pill, a supplement stack, or someone to just hand him and give him the result, right? This is for the guy who still has the discipline that built your business, built the greatness you already have in your life. You just need to now point that discipline at the right system for your health. 3 things of why you're currently failing right now for your health and longevity, right? The first piece, of course, is misinformation. The traditional fitness information online is great for building a great body. You saw me do it, right? In my high school, my high school soccer career, you saw me do it and take that information that I learned when I was, 15 years old and do some great things with it. But it's very foundational and elementary, right? That system wasn't made for you specifically. You're spending energy in a system that was never built to measure what actually matters for you. The second piece is stuck in static mode. When it comes to taking proper care of your health, the system that you follow, it doesn't stay static, right? It flexes as your life does. Traveling, extra stress, brutal quarters, a new decade of life, all change your inputs, right? And so the system that lasts is the one built to readjust to all of these things, not the one you set once and just hope it survives for a couple months. Third piece to this, no data, only vibes, right? You're running the most important asset you own, your body, completely blind. And maybe it's not completely blind, right? Maybe you're tracking a few things. You're trying to track your protein intake. You're stepping on the scale every single morning before you eat. You're probably tracking a few things, but not the right things for the next step and the next level. You're making decisions based off of how you feel instead of what's actually measurable and what your body's telling you. Metrics like resting heart rate, HRV, VO2 max, deep sleep, blood pressure, hormonal profile, all of these are specific examples of the things that you want to start to track and look at the trend lines. And if they're not improving, that's exactly why you are feeling and seeing the plateau in the mirror. Not from not eating enough protein, not from working out, not hard enough in the gym, right? It's simple, measurable metrics just like this. And so now the 6 fundamentals to fully optimize your health. I'm going to give you the full framework right here that I take every client through and how they actually achieve so much success. The first piece, the most important part to all of this, nothing else matters unless you first fix this, which is sleep and recovery architecture, right? So 7 to 8 hours is important of sleep at night, but quality of those hours matters way more. Deep and REM sleep, right? The phases where hormone regulation and cognitive restoration actually happen. And so we start this whole sleep re-architecture by first analyzing your current sleep structure, all right? Seeing what you're currently doing right now and mapping out where the current leaks are. The next piece of this is once we identify these leaks and issues, right? We move into that implementation process, ideally as fast as possible. So proper wind down sequencing, right? Being able to have a good work cutoff time every single night so that you're not hitting the pillow and you can't even get work out of your head, right? You can actually get this good sleep. So a proper wind down sequence, sleep hygiene protocols, and calibrating your circadian rhythm to your actual work schedule, which is a really, really important piece there that a lot of people miss. And then, of course, lastly, we move on to the fortification process to ensure that sleep is actually permanent, non-negotiable asset to your success, not something that you fix for a couple weeks or a couple nights. We want that permanent, and we want to fix this first. This is where we start because the first step isn't a new workout split. That's not what you actually need to fix for this, right? It's simply just protecting your recovery. And of course, I saw this. This is where I had to start. I was doing so much every single day with soccer, with school, with homework, with trying to see my family on the weekends, with trying to take care of my own health, going to the gym 7 days a week, with running my business, all of these different things. I was 19 years old and I felt like I was 50, because I was just doing too much. I thought more was always better, but more recovery is what I really need to focus and fix. And that's truly where I started to see some more momentum going into the right direction for my own health journey. Right? But training harder before you fix this, and you're just adding output on top of a system that can't recover from what it's already carrying. After recovery is controlled, everything else can actually work. And so let's get into it. Nutritional precision and guidance, right? So proper nutrition for longevity and high performance, it's obviously crucial for people like CEOs and high-level operators in general. Proper nutrition built around your travel calendar, right? Client dinners, especially specific stress loads for your week, instead of just a fixed macronutrient number for your protein, carbs, and fats. And again, it has to flex. You don't want it to be static. And so, how I like to do it, I'm not a gourmet chef. I'm not going to act like I am. I don't even like to cook that much. And so, how I figured out for myself and how I structure for clients now is quick, nutrient dense meals to fuel your brain and body to actually perform at their highest capabilities, of course, in the boardroom and in the gym, cognitively and physically, high performance overall. And that comes from how you actually fuel. Treating food and meals as fuel, not just, something that you eat when you feel like eating it, right? I check in on this weekly and I adjust based on what your data is actually showing, right? So the nutrition is set, but again, it's not static. We have to actually monitor and analyze what the data and what your body is saying based on this new fuel source, your energy levels, sleep quality, body composition, and even your mood. And so this isn't, again, follow the plan and hope this works. It's simply a framework that I'm actively managing alongside everything else in your system. Next, a massive piece, stress management and central nervous system regulation. Nobody is talking about this. All these fitness coaches are talking about, right, your workout program, your meal plan, and then drinking enough water every single day, getting 10,000 steps a day, getting 8 hours of sleep. You know what I mean? No one's talking about this. And this was massive for my own health journey. But that central nervous system regulation is the biggest part here. The truth is your body doesn't know the difference between a board meeting, a hard workout, or a real threat, something like, on a hike and getting eaten by a bear. Cortisol is cortisol. Stress is stress to your brain and body, no matter what the stimulus is coming from. And so the life of an executive is literally constant stress and living life in fight or flight mode. Again, it doesn't know if it's a hard set or just a hard Tuesday from work. Stress is stress. And if you don't control it, it affects everything moving forward. And so how it's properly optimized, the first piece is zone 2 cardio. So you're thinking, how is more cardio going to help my stress levels? But that's exactly what staying in zone 2 actually does for you. When done right, it's parasympathetic activation and one of the only forms of training that helps you lower your stress load, improve your stress levels instead of adding on top of it. So this is a really important piece right there. But the next piece, of course, is proper breath work. And this works the same lever from just a different angle, right? So shifting you out of that sympathetic dominant state in minutes. So it's kind of something that's just in your back pocket that when you need it, you have it. And then more reactive techniques that become part of your toolbox to put in place during specific periods of high stress and high pressure. So putting an emphasis on this, again, it changes how everything else moves going forward. Managing that stress and regulating your central nervous system equals, of course, decisions made with clarity, energy that's actually predictable every single day, and then real recovery that you can depend on. Now, finally talking about, right, the workouts, training that's matching your demands. And so muscle isn't just aesthetic tissue, right? It's an endocrine organ. It regulates glucose, it drives your metabolic rate, and it's the single biggest lever on your metabolic age. So training like an athlete, not a bodybuilder, right? Functional muscle tissue adaptation, removing any excess body fat, causing any extra or unnecessary inflammation throughout your body and brain, emphasizing flexibility and mobility overall, and then fortifying joints, tendons, ligaments for injury prevention moving forward into the future. So this will not just be, another generic workout program. The focus here will be to reverse the natural effects of aging and to have a specific training regimen that meets your lifestyle demands, something that, enhances what you're trying to do. Whatever your mission is for your business, for your profession, whatever it is, whatever you do, your training enhances that rather than just being something that you do after work and helps you grow bigger biceps, right? It's more than that. And so producing functional muscle tissue as one of your most important assets when it comes to longevity, metabolic health, and hormonal output. The incredible physique, of course, comes along with it. But when you shift your focus away just from, I want to look good, I want a six pack, that just becomes the byproduct, the positive outcome that you were looking for, right? But also focusing on what's most important, which is that adaptation, which is the hormonal regulation, which is the metabolic optimization, all of these amazing things for longevity that come from proper muscle tissue. Data-driven systems, right? A whole entire new lifestyle. So your body and your health deserve, like I've been saying, that same standard you hold your business to or your profession, right? So those dashboards, KPIs, quarterly reviews, all of this data, how important it is. And so this is that data for your body, right? This is the full client dashboard: body weight, body fat, HRV, resting heart rate, VO2 max, sleep metrics, strength progressions, blood pressure, BMI, progress photos, and more, all in one simple, singular place. I use this dashboard, of course, on every weekly check-in call with my clients. So we're not just talking about, how did your week go this week? We're looking at what the data is showing us and making proper decisions from it, seeing what's working, seeing what's not working, what needs to be adjusted based on measurable data. And so if HRV dipped, we know exactly why before we have to guess. If VO2 is climbing, amazing, right? We know what's working and we push further for more improvements, just like this with the important right health metrics, not just looking at, is your body weight going down, that number on the scale. So this is why that 24/7 messaging access matters most, right? I see it in the data, or I hear from you, and we adjust it in real time, not just on these check-in calls weekly or monthly. But this is the part that matters most, right? I help you build an entire new lifestyle and a lifelong system that runs indefinitely into the decades ahead. Again, this is not something that's temporary. This is the rest of your life right here. And the best way to improve that, to ensure decades forward, is to start now, optimizing your systems as soon as possible. Lastly, a little bit of mentioning that, right? The premium access directly to me. So that direct access, you gain direct access to my knowledge, experience, expertise. You'll be able to ask questions, of course, get clarity when you need it, and request any additional guidance, but also enhanced support. So you'll be receiving personalized support and guidance from me throughout the entire process. I hate, when clients have told me that they've worked with a coach or mentor in the past, and they always had to reach out to them. I love reaching out to my clients, keeping them accountable, and ensuring that we are both on the same page. I look forward to it, right? And hearing back from them. So I'm here to help you stay on track, make adjustments when needed, and ensure you continue moving forward with consistency and confidence. So that 6-step framework process for your transformation: the sleep, the nutrition, the stress management, central nervous system, training actually meeting your demands, not just a simple workout program for muscle mass, data systems to track all of it, and direct access to me. So that next step, of course, right? If you're an entrepreneur and you're ready to fully integrate your health without sacrificing time for your business, having to choose between the two, right? Trying to scale my business or trying to improve my health for longevity so that I can be there for my kids, for my grandkids, so that I can still be competent and sharp when I'm 80 years old, still be running, still be doing all of these things in older age. That all starts with how you take care of your health now. Hence why I'm starting at 21 years old. So like I said, the specific next step after this, and if this is something that you are interested in, you can directly book a call with me personally, right? And we'll hop on a call just like this, face to face. And I can get the absolute best understanding of your current situation, see where your current leaks are. And again, it's not about making these drastic changes, but again, you've been doing this for years now. And now it's just about making these tiny, little, precise adjustments for the best results in the end. So make sure to book a call, and I'll see you on the other side.